and chapter 5 is titled Quadratic Functions. We're going to be investigating the graphs of quadratic functions, and we're going to learn how to describe a parabola. When we break up into groups, you're going to be using your Desmos graphing calculator. So Desmos has multiple parts. Desmos has the class activities that we do. Desmos has the scientific calculator that we used last chapter with the sine, cosine, and tangent. And then Desmos also has a graphing calculator part where we're going to be graphing our quadratics today. So for question number 1, it says, the graph of a quadratic function has the shape of a parabola. In this lesson, you will learn about this shape. Congratulations, you have just been hired to work at a national corporation called Functions of America. Recently, your company has had some growing pains, and your new boss has turned to your team for help. See her memo below. This is to your study team, and it's from Miss Frida Function. She's the CEO, and she wants to talk about the new product line. And here's what she says. I have heard that while lines and exponential curves are very popular, there's a new craze in Europe to have U-shaped designs. I recently visited Paris and Milan and discovered that we are behind the times. Please investigate this new function, which is called a quadratic function. The equation of a quadratic function can be written in the form y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. And the U-shaped graph is called a parabola. I'd like a full report at the end of today with any information your team can give me about parabolas. Spare no detail. I'd like to know everything you can tell me about the features of these graphs. I'd also like to know about any special points on the parabola or any patterns that exist in its table. Remember, the company is only as good as its employees. Your research is essential for the success of our new product line. Sincerely, Miss Function. So your task, your team will be assigned a specific quadratic function to study. Investigate your team's functions and use their tables, graphs, and equations to describe them completely. Use the list of attributes for describing graphs that your class developed in Chapter 1. However, do not limit yourselves to these attributes. Describe additional features in your own words. Okay? So at the bottom of this page is your list of quadratic functions. So if you're in group 1, you're going to do A. If you're in group 2, you're going to do B. Group 3 is going to do C. 4 is going to do D. So put what number group you're in by the one you're going to do and put a circle around it. Okay? That's the one your group is going to do. Because you're going to need to write that equation at the top of the next page. So you're going to figure out which one it is, and then at the top of page 2, you're going to write where it says, my function to study, and this is the one I'm going to show you. Yours should be different. Every team should have a different one. Okay? So write your equation there. Flip back and forth a couple times so you can write it down. And once we break up into groups, you're going to fill in the table. You're going to draw the graph. And then underneath, there's a place to describe your graph completely. Okay? Then for part 2, it says you're going to prepare a poster. That's the part we'll do tomorrow. You'll prepare a poster for each of your quadratic functions for the CEO. Make sure the information on your poster can be clearly read from across the room. Use the following vocabulary words when describing the graphs you made in problem 5.1. The graph of a quadratic function is called a parabola. If you have a highlighter, you can highlight these. A parabola can open upward or open downward and has a line of symmetry. And The vertex of a parabola is its highest point, what we call the maximum, or the lowest point, what we call the minimum. With your team, you're going to complete your report by detailing your findings from your parabola, investigation using the new vocabulary. Which points do you think are important to know? Be sure they are carefully labeled on your graph. What information does your equation give you about the graph, the table, including any insights, and using and your teammates find. Okay?